what do you call it? It oscillates back and forth between unhinged, crazy lefty points versus like pragmatic, coherent, consistent argument, or not consistent, like pragmatic and coherent arguments. I feel like she does this probably more violently than anybody I've ever watched before. Her debating,
it's probably true.
Was it Cenk before on, or was it Ryan Grimm, or was it Brianna Joy? I think it might have been Brianna, over whether or not you should vote for Kamala or whether or not the Democrats would be better than Trump. It was, Jesus.
Is MAGA a fascist movement? Just give me a yes or no.
That's an absurd framing, Kyle. That's mainstream media framing.
You can't say that MAGA is fascist. You can't. Wait. You really don't believe MAGA is fascist?
I am against Trump, totally. Okay, but why do you love Trump? Will be the next question. Okay.
Did I ask that?
Oh my God.
Explain. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, Cenk reached out to Kyle and I this week and said, "Hey, I think we got some things to talk through. Can I, let's have a conversation."
I fucking hate this
sure,
minigame, dude.
Let's do that.
This
and
minigame
this kind of
fucking
follows on the
sucks.
heels of a discussion/debate that you and I had back in December, where, the launching point, and you can, correct me if you don't think that this is a fair characterization of this conversation, but the launching point was a tweet that you had put out expressing some optimism about the Trump administration. So we can put that tweet up on the screen from Cenk to refresh everybody's memory about where we started. So you said, in November 29, 2024, I've been trying to figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election. Even though I was so against the guy who won, I know now MAGA is not my mortal enemy, neither is the extreme left. My mortal enemy is the establishment, and they have been defeated. So over the course of that conversation, you explained to me that the reason you felt optimistic was really two reasons. Number one, as you say,
okay, it might have been her talking to Cenk before.
The establishment was defeated. And number two, you felt that the element.
This was a weird debate. I watched a bit of it earlier. Yeah, dude, I am of the full fucking belief that Cenk is just officially a political locale. I actually think Cenk is a political locale now. The reason for this is because like he oscillates between like, oh, we couldn't like we should be supporting of MAGA. We should be supporting of Trump. Oh, wait, hold on. Trump did something horrible. Trump is bad, right? And then he just goes back and forth, and then he defends himself on other people's shows. And he looks like a fucking retard every single fucking time at this point. And he is convinced that the entire world is either against him or his own audience loves him right now because of his current arc that he's going through. Like, he is the very definition of a political locale. Like he is a locale in every way. Yeah. So which makes like Cenk really fun to follow, but then it's sad at the same time because again it's just another demonstration of the total and utter failure of the Young Turks, right? Because the Young Turks, from a lot of people's perspective, it's supposed to be this revolutionary new woke show at the time or whatever the fuck, right? That was super revolutionary, super admirable, and they're awakening class consciousness and all that jazz, right? But the thing is that, dude, fucking hell, like, just look at how far they've fallen. All they've spawned from that show are grifters, except for David Pakman. David Pakman is the only good person that they spawned from that show, okay? Jimmy Dore, right? They spawned Jimmy Dore, they spawned Hassan, they spawned Dave Rubin, right? Fuck, there's like a whole fucking black book of names of grifters, other grifters that they have spawned. Like literally, like David Pakman is the only person in which I can say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, this guy kind of came out based. All right, yeah. But fuck, everyone else is cocked as fuck, And
so the populist right and the bros would hold Trump accountable. And it kind
an
of
active harm to discourse.
Turned to the camera and said, listen, guys, in a little while, you're going to be able to say whether I was right or whether Crystal was right. Let's go ahead and play that portion as a refresher. That is element number 2.
I want to address something with the audience. Can I?
Sure.
Is this my camera here? Okay, yeah. So right-wing populists, it is now your job to prove Crystal wrong. Okay.
Go out and do it, y'all.
So she doesn't believe you. And by the way, almost no one on the left, other than me and Anna, believe you guys that you actually want to cut the Pentagon. And that you could pressure Elon Musk and Donald Trump to cut the Pentagon. So are you going to prove the left wrong, or are you going to prove them spectacularly right? Am I going to have to come on here and apologize to Crystal for ever believing in any right-wing populist?
Oh, and what was it? $150 billion increase for the DOD? That's like in the big, beautiful bill, right?
And say, oh, I was a sucker. Those guys are liars. All they want to do was increase the Pentagon, have more wars, more corruption, and they never held Trump accountable. We waited 4 long years for them to hold him accountable, and all they did was kiss his ass and show that they don't really believe in freedom. They said all this stuff about freedom, but they never meant it. They said all this stuff about drain the swamp, but they never meant it. They said all this anti-war stuff, but they come back on.
Dude, if you think about it, Cenk 100% has the locale gene, okay? He is defending himself on every possible fucking political show that he can find. Like, I fully believe that the reason Dr. Phil has him on his own fucking show is because Cenk is like haha funny politics man, rather than oh haha respectable voice. Like he's more of an animal for Dr. Phil's audience to laugh at rather than someone to respect, in my opinion. But you know, what can I say? All right, he's very delusional.
In 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, and we're going to keep doing.
Well, it hasn't been a year yet. That's what he's going to say. That's what he has to retreat to. It hasn't been a year yet.
I'm going to check.
So, Cenk, that was kind of the context of that discussion. And just for the audience and for you, since there's two of us and one of you, and we don't want to be like jumping on all over each other, and maybe Cal and I have disagreements on things, I thought I would kind of handle the first 30 minutes more or less. Cal would handle the second 30 minutes. You've got an engagement you've got to go to, hard out in an hour, so that's the amount of time
We
that we
could do
have.
this for 4 hours if we had the time.
I'm sure we could, and it would be painful for all involved. But in any case, we've got a hard out for Cenk in 1 hour. We want to be very respectful of his time. So, with everything that's happened in Trump 2.0, do you still feel that original optimism that you expressed at the time, do you still feel that was well-founded?
Yeah. Elon's gone. We haven't bombed Iran yet. Doge had $8 billion, I think, of cuts by the end of it all, maybe.
Absolutely. And
No shot. I need like is there like an Olympics soundtrack? Is there like a standard? Oh no, wait. What's that one song that they always play when like something stupid happening? It's like doon 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 doon. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Doon 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 doon. What is that sound? What is that song? Chariots of Fire.
Oh shit! I think this is copyrighted. Oh my god.
Not now.
how magically not count.
Cheers.
So, Cenk, I have the same question as to whether or not you're on planet Earth. Because, first of all, let me ask you this question. Do you think that Trump 2.0 is better or worse than Trump 1?
I'm not here to talk about Trump or defend Trump or any of that. I just want to talk about what's on alternative media.
Why no?
Trump is irrelevant. What you
I know.
I
understand. I get Destiny. I get Destiny, okay?
I need a storyline. Hold on.
Thank you, Hassan reference.
No, it's not irrelevant because I'll tell you why. Here's why. You expressed optimism about how all this would go. And the reason you were optimistic.
Yeah, how all this would go. This meaning like the government, not like random people on YouTube.
No,
is because,
you're misunderstanding.
No, we just saw your tweet, okay? The reason you were optimistic
I can explain the tweet.
is because you thought these various groups and influencers would hold him accountable. So did they constrain his behavior, for example, when Elon Musk was running around with a chainsaw, slashing Social Security, and gutting the federal government, and gutting the CFPB? No, we didn't. In fact, we saw Joe Rogan host Elon Musk, not to mention Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Andreessen, to make the case for those things, okay? No accountability there. Did we see them constrain his behavior and hold him accountable when he launched a crypto shitcoin, the most corrupt scheme in American history, most likely? No, he didn't. He's faced no accountability for that. You mentioned some dissent from Rogan on the kidnapping of college students off of college campuses. Is it the right that organized in opposition to that? No, it's the left and it's the liberals.
True.
The only time.
Oh, and liberals. Oh my God. Careful. Don't get baited. I know she's got dog shit opinions on everything else. Don't get baited. Don't get baited. Don't get baited.
That Trump's actions have been constrained at all in this Trump 2.0 era, which is vastly worse than I even expected when you and I had that conversation. I mean, we've got men in hundreds of people in a concentration camp. I didn't see any accountability from the right on that. I don't see any accountability from the right on an American city that is right now under invasion by our own troops, Marines on the ground in the city of LA. No, I don't see any accountability there. I see an administration that, as I predicted, the guardrails are completely off. And the only places where he has been constrained at all is when the left and liberals organized against Elon Musk, Tesla protests, showing up at town halls, etc., made him toxic. He had to be turfed out of the administration. And in the context of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, when you had mass left liberal resistance, even pushing Democratic leaders who were lame and weak to do something, Chris Van Hollen goes down to El Salvador, and the administration did something they did not want to do, which was to bring him back. That is the only time. Dude,
she is cooking right now, okay? Holy shit. Again, I've said this yesterday, okay? I could never imagine a reality in which I would be cheering on Crystal Ball against Cenk Uygur, okay? Like, fuck me, dude. Dude, it's over. This timeline is cooked. We need to reset the timeline ASAP, okay? Somebody call, like, fucking, like, what is that organization in Loki? TVS? Timeline something, TVS? We need to call them, okay? We need to reset. We need to genocide this entire fucking timeline, okay? We need to get rid of everyone, okay?
Administration has been constrained. It had nothing to do with the right, had everything to do with liberals and the left organizing against him.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So you asked about 12 questions. I would love the time to answer it, but you didn't actually answer my question. Do you see a massive MAGA revolt against the war? And I'm being genuine. It's a literal question. Or do you just not see it?
A massive MAGA revolt. What does a revolt mean? That they tweet things?
Here's what I can tell you. Okay, Charlie Kirk, your buddy. He has already.
Not my buddy.
He has
Listen,
already gone. He has already gone. He's already gone from.
He's so mad. I thought you wanted to be buddies with him, Cenk.
Your buddy.
This is literally Ozempic outburst. Okay.
He has already.
Not my buddy.
He has
Listen,
already gone. He has already gone. He's already gone from. He's already gone from being critical of the Iran war to guess what? He got a call from the White House. And now what's he saying? What's he saying?
He's not my
I trust
buddy.
Trump. Trump is the man for this moment. I know he's going to make the right decision.
The exact
Steve
quote
Bannon.
is.
Go
Can I
ahead.
give the exact quote?
Yeah.
This is from Charlie Kirk. Quote: "We must trust Trump in this situation." Go ahead with Steve Bannon.
So
Steve Bannon, hold on, Steve Bannon, put up element number 4. This is the Financial Times today. Steve Bannon says, if the president, as commander-in-chief, makes a decision to do this, the MAGA movement, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Matt Gaetzes, we will fight it up till the end. But if he has more intelligence and makes that case to the American people, the MAGA movement will support President Trump.
There's always an out for these fucking losers. They always have a fucking out for why they can support the exact opposite of what they had said they'd support or wouldn't support earlier.
When Trump says that he gets to define what America first is, he's right about that.
Yep,
and so when you have Bannon, who also was critical of Elon Musk originally and got a call from the White House and said cut it out, and he bent the knee, these people time and time again, Cenk, all they do is ultimately when Trump makes a decision, they bend the knee. We are already far enough into this administration to know there has been no constraint on his action that has come from the right, none, and we're in a war with Iran.
I've thought about like the whole like all roads lead to Rome thing, and I've talked about this before, but basically one time, okay, after the U.S. bombed Iran, okay, my landlord, okay, who is a MAGA supporter, came up to me and said, "Did you hear about it? The U.S. has bombed Iran." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, you mean like the same U.S., the same Trump where he said there's no new wars, he's gonna end all wars on day one, he's gonna be the president with no new wars or something." And he said, "Well, no, you see, he said peace through strength. Okay, you can only achieve peace through war. Okay, the only way we can have peace is by having this war. Okay, it's just like, yeah, okay.
We're already in a war with Iran. They didn't constrain him here. He's doing whatever the hell he wants to do.
Okay, so you guys just spoke for like 8 minutes doing a straw man. Okay, so you make it sound, and this is what
straw man. It was not.
You guys
a
make it
straw
sound
man.
like I'm pro-Trump, and I think that MAGA is just a bunch of angels who are secretly left-wing, and they're going to magically agree with us on every issue. And the minute that Trump does something wrong, they're going to all push back 100%. And that's what I believed. I believed in rainbows and unicorns. Of course not, Crystal. Of course not. Well, you're trying to move them. Moving the other side is super hard. And so when you see something,
if moving the other side is super hard, then why were you happy when the other side won the fucking election? I feel like this is one of my biggest like pieces of advice for toxic relationships. Is I always tell people, like, if you feel like you're spending an inordinate amount of time in a relationship fighting for neutrality, you're fighting to make things not horrible, you'd probably be better off in a relationship where you can invest energy into making things like really fun or really good. Like if you're going through all this work just to make something not suck, there's probably not a great arrangement. This idea of like, you know, well, maybe we fight really hard. Maybe possibly some percentage of the supporters at some point might actually get a little bit closer to our position. Wouldn't it be so much easier if you just started with a left-leaning candidate? Even if you didn't like them perfectly? Like, wouldn't it be easier to convince a Kamala Harris voter of your things that you're trying to advocate here than a fucking Trump voter?
Yep.
Like, I can understand if Cenk's position was, okay, fine, we need to do with the best with what we have, but that wasn't his position. His position was that he was optimistic that Trump won the election. Like, what the fuck?
well, you're trying to move them. Moving the other side is super hard. And so when you see something, anything where they actually agree with us, you have to encourage that. So when you say all the things that you said, is Trump a bad guy? Of course, of course. So if you're listening out here, guys, the framing of all of this is totally wrong. Like, we're having a conversation. Do you think Trump's a bad guy? Of course I think Trump's a bad guy. He's totally authoritarian. That's why I voted against him. That's why I worked so hard against him. So even the framing makes me like sound different. That's why I voted against him. That's why I worked so hard against him. So even the framing makes...
Notice I said, wait, did Cenk ever say who he voted for? Because him saying voted against him here almost makes it sound like he voted third party, but there's no way, right? Cenk must have voted for Kamala, right?
Right? Ooh.
I wonder if they'll ask or for clarity.
Makes me like sound defensive when you guys started with a premise that's out in la la land. We totally oppose Trump. So now the second part of the premise that's totally wrong is, do I think that MAGA is going to revolt on every issue against Trump from day one? Why? Why would they? They love Trump. Of course not. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for, is there one or two issues where there is actual agreement? And
but why would you go through that effort?
Okay. He did say here, you and I voted for Kamala Harris.
Oh my God.
Interesting to restrain Trump in those issues. So when you talk about immigration,
so when has that worked?
Okay, hold on. Well, we're in the middle of it right now. So I'll tell
we're
you.
at war with Iran, Cenk. Hate to break it to you. We're at war with Iran. It didn't work.
Okay. So Crystal, let me finish. So when you talk about immigration and all the things that he's terrible on, I know what MAGA's movable on or not. I talk about it on the Young Turks all the time. If you think you're going to move them on immigration, you are nuts. They're not going to move an inch on immigration. So
please ask him, what are you going to move them on? You're going to move them on trans issues? Are you going to move them on what are you moving them on?
I fight him tooth and nail on that dungeon in El Salvador that they're sending people to, the Marines in the streets. Now, there's some issues like immigration where they haven't moved an inch and they never will move an inch, right? There's some issues like the Marines in the streets where a smattering of them are like, this is a little uncomfortable. It feels a little unconstitutional. It doesn't feel quite right. Those libertarian wing, remember guys, this is super important. There's 77 million people that voted for Trump, right? If you treat them all the same, you will not be able to win elections. Why is winning elections important? Because that is how you take power away from Trump, away from the Republicans.
But you would literally have a better time like trying to convince like people who are already left-leaning or Democrats to get out there and vote, right? Like dude, fuck. I mean, that's unironically the case, right? Like, isn't it just so much easier to get people who are already left-leaning or center-leaning or something to vote with you? Like to get out there and have a higher voter turnout? Because right now, like, what is the voter turnout? Like 60%, 55%, something that is so ridiculously low to the point where it just literally does not even matter. I don't know, dude. It like doesn't like Cenk's entire crusade where he's trying to like he's trying to get like all of these like right-leaning people to move just a little bit teeny tiny bit to the left, okay, into just a regular right-winger, okay. It's not worth the effort, okay. They have to. It's too much. It's too much, okay? You can be the best debater in the world and you can convince your own mom to vote left, okay?
So if you treat all 77 million as hardcore MAGA, you are going to push them away and they're going to vote against you. You can say, oh, no, but it makes me feel better. I have emotional release and my audience likes me more because I seem like I'm tougher on Trump. I was so mean to him. Yeah, but did that persuade anybody? I called all those voters fascists. Yes, but did that persuade anyone? You're trying to persuade the people in the middle to come to your side. So what are the issues where we've got a fighter's chance? War. Okay, so now, do I think that on day one, they were all going to flip and then act and be successful in stopping all of the establishment, all the neocons? And by the way, were we successful? We were not successful in stopping any of them during Biden or any other Democratic administration either, right?
That's a lie. We did leave Afghanistan. Regardless of how bad the pullout was, we left Afghanistan. We did, 100%. We also stopped participating in the drone strikes and everything for Yemen under the Saudi, infinite war against Yemen.
Oh, I really
we stopped that as well.
Jesus.
Like, I feel like there were less. I feel like did Biden attack Syria at all? We never did under Biden, right? There were no attacks on Syria. Under Trump 1, there were. There was at least one airport that we bombed. Okay.
So now there's a giant full-blown revolt from MAGA against this war. Now, if you're saying, no, I don't see Tucker Carlson, Bannon, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Posobiec, Cernovich, Candace Owens, et cetera, all of them opposed to the war. But you might not, because a lot of people watch programming that honestly just kind of gives them a misleading sense of what's happening.
Did you see Tucker, Trump saying, Tucker called me to apologize. He said he went too far. Did you see Steve Bannon saying, we're all going to fall in line ultimately? So I'm not talking about.
Wow, I got a private apology from Tucker Carlson. Oh, no. Oh, wow.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the however many million Americans voted for Trump. Some of whom are hardcore MAGA, and you will never move them. And I guarantee you, the moment that Trump says this is the policy, they're going to say, "You're right, sir. This is the policy. This is brilliant, and I'm on board." Are there independents that can be moved? Yes. There are two separate questions here. Okay. Number one is we are in hell right now. Like the level of damage that has been done to this country, done to the world from Trump 2.0 already is astounding. So the number one thing is triage, right? How do we stop? How do we stop as much damage as we can?
That's right.
And the track record thus far in the Trump administration is the only time he has been constrained is through the left and liberals banding together and going through the court system and public pressure. That's it. That's all we've seen in this administration. The other question is how do you win elections? So go ahead and address that, and we can talk about the election piece. But real quick, before you get in, as to the earnestness of this MAGA anti-war movement, put element number 3 up on the screen. Do you know? Tell me how many Republicans have signed on to the War Powers Resolution?
One.
Is Marjorie Taylor Greene? No. Is Lauren Boebert there? No. One. Thomas Massey, a libertarian who is ideologically consistent, kind of similar ideologically to Dave Smith. Every other person here is a Democrat. So to the earnestness of this anti-war MAGA coalition and their commitment to blocking war with Iran, here is where the rubber meets the road. You have one Republican who is already at odds with Trump, who is willing to put his name on this War Powers Resolution. That's it.
So, Crystal, look, I know you don't mean it, but you keep conflating two things. The Republican politicians, including Trump, and the Republican voters, or the people who voted for Trump, okay? So are the Republican politicians corrupt? Of course they're corrupt.
Of course they're corrupt. It's always corrupt.
Why does he always talk like this? Of course they're corrupt. Of course, no one's denying that.
He does not have the cognitive tools. He does not have the toolkit needed to do modern political analysis. He can't understand anything. He's about to blame the donor class again, the corporate donors. That's the only lens through which you can view all the politics in the United States.
Corrupt. Are they going to say, hey, Israel, I'll be your bitch and I'll do whatever the hell you want me to do? Of course they are. They're completely owned by Israel. Okay?
So not the donor class, Israel here. My bad. APAC donor class, same thing.
Et cetera, the warmongers. By the way, let's be honest, is more than half the Democratic Party totally owned by APAC? Yes, right? So I oh my God, no, you can't be honest. You have to just say the other side is terrible and our side is angels. No, I'm not going to play that.
Would you rather be on the side of the 37 who signed on to the War Powers?
It's such an he's not going to answer that. He won't answer it. He won't answer it. He won't answer it. He won't answer it. He's not going to answer that question. She should repeat it. He's going to pivot and say some retarded shit, and then she should repeat it over and over and over again. But she's not going to repeat it. He's not going to answer. She's not going to repeat it.
Yep.
Resolution
Crystal,
or the
I am on the side of the 37. Everything
Oh, never mind. Okay. He answered it. I am on the side of the 37. But then why did he just say, I'm not going to pretend like one side is angels and one side is demons? It's clearly there's a difference in the support, no? How does he reconcile these positions?
Is a straw man. I am on the side of the 37. In fact, Ro Khanna is my top ally. Bernie Sanders, Ro Khanna and I had the same exact strategy.
Yeah, well, fuck Ro Khanna, okay? I'm ashamed I even shook his hand in the first place. Okay, fuck me. This guy has fallen so hard. I once looked up to him.
That you criticized in November when we talked. You literally put me, and Kyle did the same thing. You guys put me in the same bucket as Bernie and Ro, reaching out to see if we can find agreement on the right.
Also, not to, and listen, dude, he's not a very pleasant guy, okay? All right, just gonna be totally honest there too.
But what else has Bernie done? What else has Bernie done that has been profoundly impactful? The anti-oligarch, the Fight Oligarchy tour, which was an effort to bind together the left and the liberals to protest and to resist this administration. And that has been profoundly more impactful.
Having a conversation with a person who isn't here.
Did the Pentagon budget get cut? Just tell me that. What's the Pentagon budget? Did it get cut?
You've now asked me 28 questions.
Did Don Jr., did he do whatever with the generals? Did that work out?
All right, guys, look, I came on here because, look, you're generally fair. So you asked me 28 questions, and then let me answer them. So, and stop framing it as if I'm a different person. You keep making all these assumptions about are you on the Republican side or the Democratic side?
I'm literally citing things that you said, Cenk. Like, I played your clip of what you said. Turn to the camera. Hey, tell me if I'm wrong.
Crystal, I'm right here. I'm right here. Can I talk for myself instead of you?
You specifically held on the Pentagon budget.
At this point, borderline lying about me in every framing of every question. Can I actually be a human being named Cenk actually answer your questions instead of you framing a person that doesn't exist?
Cenk,
okay?
I played the clip of you talking, so tell me how I'm lying.
Okay. All right, so now of all your questions, you have this fantasy land that Trump was like, oh, the left thinks Abrego Garcia's, I've treated him wrong. I surrender, left. Are you, come on, what planet do you live on? No, the courts are not left or right. The courts have held. I'm thrilled that the courts have held. And it was so important for the courts to hold. So if they didn't hold on that, he was gonna have unlimited authoritarian power. And we are against that, no matter how many times people try to pretend that we're on the side of Trump. Listen to what I am actually saying. And you will see this every day on the Young Turks. I am against Trump. Totally. Okay. Now, okay. Yes, but why do you love Trump will be the next question. Okay.
Did I ask that?
Okay.
Talk about Trump, man. I mean, you're making up stuff I never said. Come on.
Oh my God. The thing that I hate the most, it's annoying, especially for me, because I'm like writing down points, and if I don't get a chance to respond, everything, it triggers the fuck out of me. I hate it when people claim that they don't have time to respond to things, and then as soon as they begin their response, it's like on some irrelevant bullshit, right? Like, you said all dogs have one leg, You said that dogs eat clouds, and then you said that dogs all come from the moon. And then you also, wait, let me respond. Jesus, let me respond. Okay, fine. Go ahead. Start responding. Okay, I have a dog, and his name is Spot, and he's the friendliest motherfucking dog I've ever had in my entire life. And also, my family used to have cats, and I think that Nickelodeon was the coolest cartoon channel ever. I actually like Nickelodeon. And it's like, hold on. You just complained so much about not having the opportunity or the time to respond to anything. And then as soon as you finally are like, stop, let me talk, then you start yapping. The fuck? Is it a failure in communication, or is it an intentional misdirect? Or, like, respond, run down the list of points, and why bring up a totally other different thing and then straw man a totally different question that she didn't even fucking ask you? You know, like,
if I can't answer your
Jake,
question,
I'm giving you plenty of time to answer, brother. You're making up stuff about me.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
okay,
So you want to talk about straw men? You're inventing things on the spot.
You guys, it's a mistake. So okay, now when you're talking about the Pentagon cut.
By the way, Cenk does this every single time a talk with him goes badly, okay? He'll literally just say, yeah, it was a mistake coming on here. Every single time. On every single appearance, right? So you keep on doing the thing that you are regretting doing. Like, you realize you literally look like a clown right now, right? Like, this is literally locale type shit. Like, oh, it's a mistake to do this. And then he just, like, does it the next time, like, as if it never happened in the first place. It's just like, it's not like he learned his lesson or anything.
There we
Do
go.
you think that I thought, oh my God, Elon's such a good guy, and Trump's such a good guy, even though I've spoken out against them at every single turn?
Like, no one is saying this. This is some brain broken. This is just brain broken shit. People are incapable of restating the opposition's argument. Nobody is saying that you thought that Trump and Elon were such good guys. What people are criticizing you for is you seem to be a little bit delusional in assuming that it was possible through MAGA. But you thought there was some weird allegiance there to these principles of not funding the military, or you thought that some
FSB glowing today, skin routine when? I don't have a skin routine. As crazy as that sounds, okay?
how you would get them all to not increase the Pentagon budget when everybody knew that that was never going to be the case. Everybody was saying, I mean, included, everybody was saying this from day -100 since he won the election, forget taking office. But for some reason, you remained optimistic and you said, and that's why Crystal brought you on the show initially. Need we remind you, right? The initial tweet was, I've been trying to figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election, even though I was so against the guy who won. I know now MAGA is not my mortal enemy, and neither is the extreme left. My mortal enemy is the establishment, and they have been defeated. The
Just take a
implication
shower
there
once every 2
is
days,
that
okay?
it's easier to work with MAGA or Trump than the establishment Dems, right? So that's what people are going to attack you on, which is totally fair. Now, if you've changed your position, that's
what
fine.
does he
You can't
mean by
pretend that,
working?
well, I knew that MAGA would never get anything done. I knew that Trump and Elon would never do anything policy-wise. I knew that they would never be held accountable electorally. I knew that they would never be pressured to change it. Then what the fuck were you so fucking optimistic for? Excuse me, what? You were happy that Joe Rogan would have an episode where he was critical about Trump on one thing related to immigration? That's what you were gunning for the whole fucking time?
The Pentagon cuts. Do you think that I thought, oh my God, Elon's such a good guy, and Trump?
No one is saying that you're saying this. This is like, imagine crying and bitching and moaning and pissing and shitting yourself. You don't have time to respond to an argument, and then you spend the time that you get next just strawmanning the opposition.
Such a good guy, even though I've spoken out against them at every single turn. And then I magically thought, oh, I bet they become liberals overnight, progressives overnight. No, you put out the Pentagon thing so that they're stuck either way. That's why Bernie and Roe joined me. Because either they cut the Pentagon and go, yes, mission accomplished. We
and
got
they're
a tiny,
stupid
tiny
too.
amount accomplished during the Trump reign, which seemed impossible. Or they don't cut the Pentagon and they add to it. And then we all come out, as I did, and Bernie and Roe did, and go, see, we told you. They're hypocrites. The leaders of your party never intended to cut the Pentagon. MAGA, they were lying to you. Now,
How does
Crystal,
MAGA care?
Like, Trump, does nobody remember this? Am I crazy? Prior to the election, didn't Trump literally say over and over again that we need to rebuild the military, that we need to build more ships? That was before the election, right? He was fixated on that. How many ships does America have and how many ships does China have? And we need to build more ships in America so they outproduce all the ships that Trump rebuild America ships before, does that before it work? 2025? Fuck, that's way too long ago. I remember hearing him talk about this. Like, everybody knew this was going to happen. Everybody knew that we were going to be increasing the funding on the military. Nobody was surprised by it. Everybody knew this. And then you're not coming out with some big gotcha. See, MAGA, he lied. They're like, no, we wanted to rebuild the military the whole time.
Cenk? Did that work?
So
Did MAGA
yes,
care?
they do care.
No,
See,
they
that's
don't.
No, okay, Crystal.
I've seen zero pushback on the Pentagon budget. Let me just say,
Okay,
because I let you go on for a little while.
Oh, I know.
There
God
were
forbid I got paid, so one or two questions. Go ahead.
there were two tactics that were floated by me and by you in our conversation. Okay, you said, I think it's great that Elon's responding to me, Don Jr.'s responding to me. Like we have more of a chance. No, you said we have more of a chance with these guys to cut the Pentagon budget than we don't.
Okay, I've seen enough. I'm bored.